Well, that would be great if that's the case.
Is it possible,
Now, if
though?
he's frightened enough people that they figure out they've got to do something else, but that means both sides have to feel that this is a terrible suggestion. And as you point out, there are extremists on the Israeli side who think it's a great idea. This has always been their plan, to move Palestinians out of their land so that Israel can take control of all of it without the burden of the citizens that come with the land. So I'm not sure that that is the case. And therefore, there's still a challenge on how to use this odd proposal to get to somewhere else.
All right. President Trump has doubled down on his comments regarding the Gaza Strip, despite an awful lot of condemnation. Writing on Truth Social this morning, the president confirmed his plan for reconstruction would not allow for the return of Palestinians to the Strip, a point which had been criticised by leaders in many parts of the world, including the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres.
At its essence, the exercise of the inalienable rights of the Palestinian people is about the right of Palestinians to simply live as human beings in their own land. It is vital to stay true to the bedrock of international law. It is essential to avoid any form of ethnic cleansing.
Well, Donald Trump's recently just finished a speech as part of the National Prayer Breakfast where he discussed what was driving his presidency.
And as the Bible says, blessed are the peacemakers. And in that end, I hope my greatest legacy, when it's all finished, will be known as a peacemaker and a unifier. I hope that's going to be true. You know, when I left, we had no wars, we had no problems, we had no inflation, we had no... all we had was we were going to go just up. And I came back. We have Russia, Ukraine. We have the Middle East has exploded. All of these things would have never happened.
He addressed a hostage survivor.
Also with us is an incredible survivor of October 7th who was held captive by Hamas for more than 8 months, Noah Agramani. She was at the music festival and attacked on that terrible day. That's great that you're here. I watched you on television. I don't know what you're doing, but you look like a much younger person. I don't know what the secret is. Please give it to all of us. For 245 harrowing days, Noah showed unwavering strength and courage and faith as she endured the unendurable, really, what she went through. But by the grace of God, she was rescued by the Israeli Defense Forces, and now she's come back to pray with us this morning, and it's such an honor to have you, and you're really an inspiration, Noah, to all of us. Thank you very much.
So the president moving rapidly from event to event. Let's now talk to Gina Abercrombie-Winstanley, who's the president emeritus of the Middle East Policy Council, on the line from Cleveland. Hello to you, Gina.
Hello to you.
Gina, it is very important to keep track of this process of setting out policy in such an important, sensitive area. It's important, but it can't be called easy, can it?
No, they have very clearly followed their plan of flooding the zone, as it were, with these multiple executive orders, these informal statements from Elon Musk and his cohort. The American people and the world are trying to keep up. Yeah.
And what do you make of, well, the Gaza plan as now reiterated by Donald Trump?
Well, I'm going to give the president the benefit of the doubt and say that perhaps indeed it comes from his heart and his recognition that it will be extraordinarily difficult to repair the damage that Israel inflicted on the Gaza Strip, aided by U.S. weapons. And so there is some responsibility from the United States over that, where we are now. However, it shows a complete lack of understanding of the area, of the people, and the realities on the ground. And I have to question the advice and the advisors that the president has around him.
It is also fair to say, isn't it, that there is no alternative plan, including from among some of those who are criticizing Donald Trump's plan, if you can call it a plan.
I wouldn't call it a plan.
But there's no clear alternative, was my point.
Well, there is an alternative. It's just not one that is accepted by both parties yet.
Or remotely realistic, or there's no sign of it on the horizon. If you're talking about a two-state solution.
Yeah, no, I will not argue with that, but there's either a two-state plan or a one-state plan. That's it. And so if it's a one-state plan, that means that Israel absorbs all of the inhabitants of the region. That Israel is also saying they do not want to do. They have determined the priority is a Jewish state, not a democratic state. And so they can't have two levels of citizenship. Therefore, we go back to the two-state plan because that one keeps a Jewish, and if it is Jewish state, a Jewish democratic state, but there also has to be a Palestinian state. Those are the realities.
Yeah, well, equally, there's no remotely clear plan to get and make progress on that. Is it possible? Do you share the view that perhaps the president is maybe making a situation worse by encouraging Israeli hardliners on one side, maybe encouraging Hamas on the other to assert themselves?
Yeah. Well, I don't think Hamas needs any encouragement. I think many of us familiar with the region have said and privately advised Israelis that it would be impossible to wipe out Hamas or wipe out the idea of freedom and self-determination among Palestinians. So even if the name Hamas disappears, the idea and the goal would still remain to end the occupation.
Yeah, but could this intervention by Donald Trump encourage the killers, the gunmen, the terrorists of Hamas to cast aside their commitment to a ceasefire, such as it ever was, and now take fresh action? Do you think that's possible?
I don't. And the reason I don't is because there is no party who believes that the president's statements are connected to a viable plan. There's not a danger that this is something that would be implemented soon, or immediately, or in the distant future.
And what about the idea that it could be, however plausible or not, it could be a catalyst for something to emerge that may be more practicable, because that is advanced, including from among the president's circle, isn't it?
Sure. Well, that would be great if that's the case.
Is it possible?
Now, if he's frightened enough people that they figure out they've got to do something else, but that means both sides have to feel that this is a terrible suggestion. And as you point out, there are extremists on the Israeli side who think it's a great idea. This has always been their plan, to move Palestinians out of their land so that Israel can take control of all of it without the burden of the citizens that come with the land. So I'm not sure that that is the case. And therefore, there's still a challenge on how to use this odd proposal to get to somewhere else.
All right.
Egypt and Jordan cannot take Palestinians. Their populations would not stand for it. It would put their governments in danger. Certainly, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and Kuwait, Saudi Arabia are not going to pay for Palestinians to be ejected from their lands.
Yeah.
And the Palestinians have said they will not go willingly.
Yeah, it is a total deadlock. Have to leave it there just for now. Gina Abercrombie-Winstanley at the Middle East Policy Council, thank you again. Now, coming up, I have the latest from business for you with Robert Miller from the business desk of The Times, and I'm going to be talking to Maura Samuels, the campaign coordinator for Justice for Grenfell, after the government's decision to demolish Grenfell Tower. Now, it's 4:32. Here's the news with Martin Williams.
Across the UK, on DAB, online and on your smart speaker. This is Times Radio.
Thank you, John. The Bank of England's cut the cost of borrowing. It's reducing the base rate of interest to 4.5% despite inflation.